Hey everyone, welcome to Money, Sex, and God. I'm Genevieve. I'm an erotic empowerment speaker and coach, and I'm here to help you relieve suffering and bring ease and bliss back into your life. And I am so excited for our special guest today. I'm going to wait for her to pop on. There she goes. And then I'll intro her. Perfect. Can you see me?
Is it
It's a
working?
little, I think so.
I think I caught up. I think I caught up with everything. Yes?
Yeah, it
Okay,
took a
good.
moment.
It
Yes.
took a moment, but at least it was in the right landscape, right? Because I told you I always have problems with getting on Facebook Live. It's so funny.
We did it. We did it. You killed it. I was just introducing you, so I want to go ahead and do that before I turn it over to you. So the woman that you're seeing in front of you, those of you that are watching, make sure to say hello. Make sure to share this if what I'm saying resonates with you. This woman empowers other women into personal, romantic, and financial independence, and she helps them to really monetize their gifts and live a life of fun, impact, and abundance. So we are definitely in alignment. And I would love to introduce Chiara Mazzucco to Money, Sex, and God. Love if you could introduce yourself, say hello. That would be amazing.
Thank you. I just shared it on my page too. So excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I am actually, let me opt out of this Facebook. There you go. So it doesn't bother me.
Yep.
I have, it's like all the things. I'm
Uh-huh.
an empowerment business coach for female entrepreneurs. I host events. I have a podcast. I do all of the things. I've been doing this now for close to a decade, actually a little bit over a decade.
Amazing.
And it's just been this solidified mission, this solidified soul calling to support women in this journey, obviously reflective of my own journey. So it's been a lot of fun to really evolve, to allow my business to evolve with me as a woman as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Amazing.
Kudos.
I would love to hear a little bit about your journey, what got you to be such a bold, badass human walking around the world and how that was created so everyone can hear some inspiration.
Yeah. My story, unfortunately, is very similar to many other women's. When I was very young, I was 15 years old. I went through an abusive relationship. I was raped by a boyfriend. And then immediately after, I was in a verbally and emotionally abusive relationship. So, in the span of, I want to say, a year, I had been stripped of everything that I thought I knew myself to be physically, sexually, mentally, emotionally, all of the things, which
Mm.
also coincidentally happened during the time when I was trying to figure out who I was, right? Like we're in that like 15, 16 years old, like who the fuck am I? Where do I fit into the world?
Yeah.
Um, and so I went through about a 6 month kind of period where I was a complete shell of a human. One of those, hair in my face, big sweatshirts, just kind of trying to stay away. But I was this emotional wreck. And one day, I think soul just had enough, very young soul, but had enough. And what I ended up doing was I grabbed a pen and paper and worked off of the fact that I had been stripped off of everything that I thought I knew myself to be, and was like, well, then I'm just going to start over. I'm just going to start over. So I started to write out this like version of myself that I wanted to become. And it started very superficial. It started with like, she's going to listen to rock and roll, and drive stick shift and smoke cigarettes and wear a leather jacket and whatever. Like I was very, it was like the image of the badass protected woman. But inevitably that list started going deeper and deeper and deeper. And it started to be like, I'm going to make, she makes eye contact when she connects with other people. She introduces herself. She can hold herself in a conversation. She's witty, she's intelligent, she's driven, and I really just started to kind of build this like version of myself, and obviously felt so separate from me, that I ended up putting myself in through like, basically what I like help my clients do now, a period of really, really uncomfortable discomfort, right? Like where I was going to like, UCLA parties, and I would walk up to a group of guys and just like interrupt them and introduce myself, like out of nowhere, just be like, how's it going, guys? I'm Chiara. It's so awkward. But specifically because one of the guys that I had dated didn't allow me essentially to make eye contact with other guys. There was like, oh, you're making eye contact with them, you want to fuck. So I was basically going through this like period of reclaiming everything, one thing. So I started, holding eye contact a little longer and, doing all of these things. And I took myself through this journey, and then eventually, it was a long period of healing. But I started a blog about a decade ago, kind of sharing my own experiences healing. And it was brutal. It was like Chiara says, brutal dating advice or whatever. And it was just me processing, essentially, like rebuilding trust with men. And it just started to pick up so much speed. Like my blog grew so quickly, and suddenly it was like, oh, this is a conversation. Like this is a conversation, like women, these like reclaiming that sense, that power, and all of that. And so that little thread kind of, I wrote a book. That was my first business. I wrote a book, and then I launched a women empowerment magazine from 2012 to about 2016. We were in print, Barnes and Noble, all over. But again, it was that same thread of like owning your identity, of being. And then we shut that down in February 2016. And then I launched Bold Self, which is essentially that like next level, like evolved version of the message around financial, personal, romantic independence, and really like claiming your own power as a woman, and deciding what you want your life to look like. So that's
I love it. I love it, and I can see why Casey wanted us to connect, and just the there's such a reclamation. I did it through becoming a dominatrix, but it was the same concept. I remember creating my avatar as a dominatrix, and coming from trauma and being like, who does she want to be? She wants to be loud. She wants to wear high heels. She wants to, right? And then in my softening, it shifted, and now I'm in a different iteration, and it's so fun. I think what I would love for people to glean from this and get from this conversation is just that we get to play with how we show up. We don't have to be so attached to who we are. Yeah. Right.
It's so funny that you bring that up too, because I'm also like, I went through all of that, had this, adventure of a life. And then I got married, became a mom, and then divorced, became a single mom, and dropped into poverty. Right. Like, so like, so all of the protective masculine energy that I had really developed, and that was really embodied in that leather jacket wearing, like rock and roll, came out, and was like, okay, it's time to like figure shit out, because they shut the power off in the middle of winter for me. It was like a very tough time, and I'm so grateful for that part of me that I was able to like let emerge. Got to, save me, whatever, launch my business, doing great, making money, great. And then the last like year and a half for me has been the resoftening, has been what does this next evolution of strength look like, that can be grateful for that protective masculine and the fun of creating alter egos. What is that next level where we get to integrate all of it and make it a little bit of all the things? Because I haven't lost my badassery. It's still there, but I jokingly also say, like, I now choose it rather than it needing to be this like, kind of thing. I now choose it. So it's a really beautiful evolution that we get to go through.
Yeah. And that's I feel like the mastery in it is play in all of these iterations of yourself so much, like go so deep, It's funny you shared that story. I was also a single mother, went into poverty, launched a business. Like, wait a second.
Who are you, girl? You
me? And so, like, but I can see how, like, for me, I had to go and play in all of them so deeply, so that now I can be in a place of mastery to choose.
Yep.
You know, and we constantly have the choice. And that's where I see a lot of clients and a lot of people that probably follow you too get stuck, and they think that they have a situation happen to them or an emotion happen to them, and then they can't shift gears.
Yeah.
Right. And we have that. We can shift the gears on the stick shift. How do you shift? What's your tool or methodology to play there?
I feel like I've gotten so good at the shift that I do it with my eyes closed, and it's just like a declaration at this point.
Yeah, totally.
You know, revisiting the more challenging times of my life where it was like, oh shit, like need to, you know, this.
Yeah.
There was a lot of presence and awareness and like deep connection with breath. I just started exploring my spirituality, like emerging out of that rock bottom. That was a thing that really supported me, you know? So like a lot of the languaging also was like new to me, like where people are like, you know, connect to source. I was like, what the fuck is source? Like, I'm like, you know, like all of, you know, and it's so funny because I would literally like, I hit the rock bottom, the financial rock bottom so hard that I got to a state that many of us get to where you're just like, I've got nothing to lose, right?
Exactly.
Like I've got nothing to lose. And so what I would do, I mean, I was $700 overdrawn in my bank account. I had all my credit cards maxed out, car in repossession. I swear my landlord was hiding in my bushes. I mean, it was like, it was intense. There was no, you know, or anything. So what I would do is I would go to the dock in my town and like, you know, put my headphones on and listen to YouTube affirmations. And like, I would just be like, I am prosperity. I am abundance, you know, and still without really fully like realizing what this was, but it allowed me to really fully open up to the shift, right? And bearing witness to the shift that occurred. I mean, like, you know, for me, a lot of the climbing out of rock bottom was not slow and steady. It was very intense. And what was really cool was I learned, and I think this is a gift that many of us have, and I think we all have it, to step out of the situation and observe from the outside and be like, look at what you did. Look at how quickly you rose. Look at how you dealt with this, right? Because we remember the pain, whatever, but like, remember your victory, remember the triumph, remember all this, and remember how quickly you allowed things to turn around. And so the more I witnessed the shift happening, the more I integrated it with my identity as being someone who can shift when needed, right? So we get to kind of be in the like tornado, but we get to like witness it and participate in it and be like, wow, look at how fluid I can be. Like it could be a shitstorm and the next day everything could be great. It could be a miracle. Like, wow, look at me go kind of thing. So it's a beautiful practice. And that ended up really serving me.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that are very attached to, you know, like, oh, I can't, this is who I am. I can't shift into being a bold woman or into being an erotic woman or into being like whatever it is. They see themselves in one way because that's what society's conditioned them into. And I love that what you said about finding that place, that rock bottom where you're like, I got nothing else. Right? Because that's it. That's the place that we can then start to build on and create a new self.
One of the biggest tips that I give my clients is let yourself hit rock bottom. Stop hovering. You have to like really truly see the shit for what it is, right? In order to spring up higher than you've ever been, right? And it's so funny because the claws that we have in these old identities are the reason that we don't transform. Because you know, when someone comes to me and is like, Chiara, I want to tap into the boldest version of me. I want to be whatever that vision is, right? It could look different for all women that come to me. And I say, beautiful. And then they're like, but, right? And the stories start to unravel, right? And I was like, okay, how about we let go and we let that vision and that desire and that pull that we had that pulled us to this like newer, you know, bolder version of us, carry us into that next level. Because when I, they come to me and I want to be this bolder version of me, and I'm like, cool, tell me about her. And they know her. They know her, right? They're like, oh, she's like this, and she's like this, and she wears this, and she like jumps on top of her man when it's time to fuck, like whatever. You're like, woo, you're like, Stacey, tell me more, like Stacey knows, right? Like Stacey knows. Stacey knows what the next level version is. And you can literally almost physically really see her body be like, oh, this is, oh my God. It's like, amplifying. It's like pulsating. And you're just like, I'm with it, and I'm just like, yes, I'm getting excited. I'm like, Stacey, yes. And then you can see the stories and the physical body contract around them. But I'm afraid of this, but I'm the type of person who I don't, I'm not like that, or, it's easy for you, or what, like all these stories. And I literally will like pattern interrupt, and I'll say like, how much is this weighing on you right now? Because you were feeling light as a fucking feather when you were telling me about your next level, Stacey, and about how you're going to ride your husband. Like that was all fun, right? And it's such a beautiful thing, because it literally isn't this, we can talk about the feminine energy and all of that all we want, but it's like we have this resistance. So what are all the things I have to do to level up into that next level? And there are some things, but the big thing is to let go.
Yeah.
Is to let go.
Yeah. And there's such a misconception too, that there's like an amount of time that needs to be taken to get there, right? Like this, I get this all the time. They're like, how are we going to get there in 4 months? And then like an hour goes by and they're like, JK, I'm already there, right? Exactly. Like time is also, you can fuck with it in the same way that, Yep, totally. In the same way. I love that all the things you're saying are so like you're talking about all these spiritual principles, but you're like
all brand new. It's so funny. My clients laugh at me because I just got like, not just a few months ago, got my first like tarot deck, and I started like, I'm working with an astrologer, and my friends and my clients are all like, Chiara, you're such a witch. Like, you don't even like, I get visions of things, but I thought I was just being like creative, like, no, they're like, no, you're witchy. And I'm like, oh, so like, I'll like say something. I'm like, when you get a feeling and they're like, oh, or like I'll describe it and they'll be like, yeah, that's called this, and it's like an actual spell. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's because everything is already spiritual. You don't have to learn how to be spiritual. Like, get rid of your conditioning, get rid of like the part of you that's attaching, and you will be that, right? As Chiara is showing us.
This is the biggest part. I'm like a Capricorn, like masculine, very logical. Like I'm really good at math. I build things. Like I'm very structured and all of that. And in my softening and healing of like tapping into my energy, it's so funny because I was actually this is like a couple of years ago, right before I start, like once I started making money, which is like where the survival kind of like, we're okay.
Right.
Bills are paid, food is on the table. And I remember like, I was always very like, I wore black and like, boots and like very, very like hiding, right? Because I had a lot of even trauma growing up with my best friends being like, all right, Chiara, you don't have to look that way and be smart. Like there's a lot of like shaming, so there was a lot of protective energy coming through. And I remember speaking to her, I'd be like, I was just learning. I wasn't even learning. That was actually the day that I was introduced to like masculine and feminine energy. I had no idea. All I knew at that point was like tomboy and girly girl, right? Like those were my like the lenses, right? And I'm sitting here with tattoos, and like I listen to AC/DC, like, I was like, I don't wear summer dresses, so I am, I'm a tomboy, I'm masculine. So I remember sitting there and I was just in like casual conversation with her. And I was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm so masculine. I'm like I have such masculine energy. And she just burst out laughing. And she was like, you're so feminine. Are you joking? And I was like, what? Like there was this whole like uncovering, and it was such a beautiful opportunity for me in that like year, and the last year of really healing, of being like, okay. And like also no longer associating feminine energy with weakness.
Yes.
Because that was part of the healing process, you know. So it's been a really, I mean, this entire experience, this human experience is
This
nuts.
is nuts, right? It's
Nuts.
such a game.
Such a game.
It's such a game. I have this distinction that I think you'll like this, that someone gave me a few years ago. Rather than looking at it as masculine, feminine, she told me to look at it as feminine active, feminine passive, and masculine active, masculine passive. And once I realized that I'm feminine active, which is like the Jessica Rabbit, Katniss Everdeen, like I'm a warrior, right? Like, as I'm not masculine active, I don't want to build shit. I don't want to like create. I don't want to do that. I just want to like strut my shit and flirt a little bit and like get people turned on, right? That's an archetype of femininity that I think a lot of women are forgetting about. They think feminine means like I have to like get rid of all of my like take charge energy, and you can still do that and be in your flow and be in your feminine creation, which I love.
You know, I think it's like just really interesting that this conversation is so top of mind for so many of us right now.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, there is so much healing. There's so much, you know, collective healing, obviously. Like, a lot of my programs are very sisterhood focused.
Yeah.
Meaning like you can tap into your powerhouse. You can be a badass, like a bold woman, and do it with like a group of powerful women by your side. It's not an either or conversation. Yeah. And it's insane. Like the sisterhood wound, the like, there's like, damn, we've been through some shit. Like we've been through some shit. Right. And it's so interesting because we're seeing permission for so many women to really fully rise into whether they are entrepreneurs and building something, or rise into that next level of themselves that's maybe a little bit more fiery or anything like that. And permission is now being given, right, by the collective, by society, by the universe, by source, whatever. And suddenly there's all of these like shackles, all of these wounds that are coming up, and we're just trying to make sense of everything. So I'm so glad those conversations being had.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so important. And at the same time, I see it being a place where a lot of people get really stuck. A lot, especially women that come to me, they're like, I'm not feminine enough. And I'm like, you're an alpha woman, babe. Like, just own it. Like, you're an alpha. We're in New York, babe. We're in New York City. Like, just find a guy that will like out alpha your alpha. Like, that's all you got to do. Like, like, and then you'll be fine. Right? But there is like this misconception that's popping up that I love speaking to, because, and since when do we have to be all one way, which is kind of the point we were talking to at the beginning. Like, why, like some days I'm way more like rah, and other days I want to lie around and eat berries all day and like take a bath.
And you know what's really cool is, I don't know how much of your audience are entrepreneurs, but what's really cool is watching that shaping be a part of the evolution of our business. You know, because when I started my business, you know, it looks very different now than when I first started. But when I started my business, it was very like this. It was one track, right? Then I went through, like, I started going through all of my personal transformation, and I felt it go into the completely opposite way. And now I'm coming to a point where I get to kind of pick and I let it evolve with me. Like, I'm going through you know, a bit of a rebrand, some shifting around offers and just changing things. And so much of it is specifically reflective of like my journey and like my evolution. And it's like, you got to give it permission. It's like your business has to allow you to be pow pow roar, and then at the same time eat berries the next day if that's what you want to do.
And the business is always a direct reflection of what's going on personally. Always, and forever, right? And that 100%. Has been that's why I've always had a business coach. I've always had a mentor. I've always had, because it is literally me, right? Yes. I take the business as like, this is me and the collective all at once, right? It's the clients, it's the people that you have and yourself kind of merging together to create this thing, right?
And who the fuck knows where it's going? You know, it's like
business plans are really silly.
And tell that, you know, this is like speaking from a very type A, very like organized my year, you know, like that was a hard lesson for me, like, because I needed to learn how to map out my year and allow it to change.
Right.
That was like the big thing. Cause I'm like, I know I can't not map it. Like, I know I have to map it. Like, but I also have to like build in flexibility because life's a fucking shit show and it's a circus and everything is changing. And I'm like changing from day to day. You know, I was a young mom and now I'm like 32 and single, and it's like it's a whole new world out there. You know?
I just put in like just started booking time off for dates. So I was like, this is fascinating, right? Like times when I would have had business calls and things like that. So, but that's the other piece about freedom that we get as entrepreneurs, and when it shifts and when we can step into that, right? I see so many. I don't know if this like hurts me. Like I see so many people that are so right there. Like they're like right there. And it's just this place where they're like, can I really trust and believe that if I let go, the magic will flow? And the magic will, and it's like, yeah, baby, yeah. And they're just like, ah.
You know what? Honestly, the best way, like, I mean, that's, we love, because we're on the other side of the tunnel. We've like gone through it, so we could be like, just trust me, it's gonna be great. Like, you know, we're like, everything's gonna be better. Like, just take my word for it, you know. And they're just like cross-eyed. They're like, you know what, lady? Like, I'm paying you thousands of dollars, but you're fucking crazy. Like, no, you know. And you know, I had to also learn, like, you know, there are some people that just, they have to, in order for them to let go, they literally have to get so tired of holding on.
Yes.
That it's almost involuntary. So the first time that they actually like lose their grip involuntarily, and you know, they're like falling backwards with one eye open, like, what? You know, and then all of a sudden everything is magnificent. Yeah. And all of a sudden they actually bear witness to everything dropping into alignment and working out. And then we're like, oh, I have to do this more often. Yeah. Right. I have to do this more often. And that becomes a practice. That was me. I was like claws in, right? Like I was like not wanting to let go, but hitting that rock bottom for me. They shut my power off in the middle of winter while I was cooking dinner for my kid. So at that point, I was like in full panic, like full panic. So I gave my kid, I threw him like a bag of popcorn, you know, like dinner, and he was so excited, you know, I was like, whoa, he's like, life is awesome. I lit a bunch of candles and my heart was pounding out of my chest, you know, because I was like, oh crap, like, I think they were like, you know, if you don't pay the in full, that was close to like $1,000, like we're not turning your power back on kind of thing. And I was like, I live in like New York. I'm in New York. Like this is not like, I can't not have heat, you know? So, but what was really interesting is that I dropped to the floor while my kid was playing, you know, his little iPad and like all that, because it still had like 58% in battery. Candles were lit, you know, he was having a great time. And I remember falling to the ground. My hand was on my chest, and I was like, really like calming myself down. And in the middle of the chaos, I felt my heart beating and I felt that I was still breathing. And that was literally like that feeling of falling, oh shit, and landing and being like, I'm still here.
Exactly.
Like, you're like, what? And so the next day I was like, okay, like I gave myself the day to like freak out. And then I, you know, was like, okay, let's now where do we go? Now what? Yeah. And it was completely different. Of course, everything ended up working out fine.
Yeah.
I had to really let myself like drop. You got to let yourself drop. So that was a huge thing in my experience in my life, has been to hold on, try to control everything, and just getting so tired and exhausted and just hitting because I can't hold on anymore. I've done everything I could. I don't have it in me anymore.
And ladies that are watching, this is the same metaphor in sex.
Just in case you're wondering.
Just in case you're wondering, this is how to get to that expansive orgasm. You just let yourself drop.
Just gotta go.
Just let it go. Stop gripping. Stop holding. It's the same piece because it's everything, right? Sex is life. Life is sex. And I just love that. I mean, we have such parallel stories. It's so fun. I'm so happy that I got to meet you.
Yay! I know.
So fun.
Me too. Thanks so much for having me on here.
Thank you so much for being on. And I'm sure people are commenting. They're like, yes.
Yeah, I've been don't want to interrupt the Wi-Fi. Like if I feel like if I load it on my desk, like laptop, everything is going to collapse.
With all the planets right now, like just stay put. Don't move.
It works.
Don't move. What are you up to next? I know you're doing something in San Diego.
I am. This is for
Yeah.
female entrepreneurs.
Okay.
It's called Bold Leap Live. You can get info at boldleaplive.com. It's a 3-day transformational, fully immersed experience, and it's at the Hard
Amazing.
Rock in San Diego. I'm so
Such
thrilled.
a sexy hotel. You killed it.
I was like, do they know that I walk on stage to Bob Seger, Old Time Rock and Roll? I was like, I'm home. Like every Bold Leap is going to be there. Yeah, and we
Jacuzzi.
basically go and then I heard.
Yeah.
We go through like a full transformational experience where it really allows us to let go of that old identity and
Awesome.
create and step into the new. We have like a whole wealth consciousness, like reprogramming going down. We have amazing panels also with some of our mutual friends that are on the panels. I'm really excited about that as well. And it's really powerful. We actually also have a men's panel. And
Oh,
that's something that I
cool.
ended up adding, yeah, at my last event, which was a phenomenal experience. So much healing transpired. So I like to look at things as they are multidimensional. But anyway, there's a lot of rock and roll. There's a lot of dancing. There's a lot of fun and sisterhood, like healing. People meet their best friends at these experiences. So that's what's next. And the rest, who the hell knows?
We plan it and then we let it go.
And then we let it go. There's a lot being planned, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this experience though, because the past times we've done it, we did it in LA, New York. I mean, there are women running up to the stage, grabbing the mic, like, I'm leaving the bastard, and it's just like so much fun. You're just like yes, So it's a really beautiful experience. If anyone that's watching being called to it, definitely like send me a message. We can chat about it. Really cool experience.
Yeah, go, go, go. I'm bummed I missed New York. I was traveling. I think I was in Costa Rica, but like
Were you?
The New York one looked amazing. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
and then
so
we
fun.
have mutual friends that actually
Yes.
spoke on my stage.
On the panel,
Yes,
I saw that. I was like,
Yes.
my people.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for being on. If you guys have questions for Chiara after this or for me, you can tag us and we'll do our best to reply. And go to her event. It's going to be so dope. And that hotel is amazing.
Bomb, I know.
Like get a day early and stay a day late to just like hang out there.
Like, can we even? It's like nothing less. Like we set the standard. This is how we rock and roll through life. So excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Chiara. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.